What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out a video of RFK making a very bold claim. He said America wants war with Russia. Now, I don't understand the context if he's saying we should go to war with Russia or he's saying the people ruling America want to go to war with Russia. Well, let's check it out.
I don't like the fact that America is bearing the brunt and the burden of financing most of the war against Putin in Ukraine. I think we agree on that part. Why isn't Europe, why don't they ever step up and defend their own continent before they ask for U.S. involvement? And why would Joe Biden veto Poland, giving Zelensky fighter jets to actually fight to win the war after they were invaded?
Well, the more disturbing thing is that on two occasions, the Russians tried to sign a peace agreement with Zelensky.
Do you trust Putin?
Do I trust Putin? No, but that's not. Listen,
You can't trust anybody, but you trust the interests. That's how you do politics. Would you trust Joe Biden? He's your president, but would you trust him? Yeah, I'll take it back. But it's not a thing of trust here.
Well, the more disturbing thing is that on two occasions, the Russians tried to sign a peace agreement with Zelensky.
Do you trust Putin?
Do I trust Putin? No, but that's not. Listen, I've litigated over 500 lawsuits. All of them end up with, or many of them end up with settlements or one kind or the other. And you never trust the guy on the other side. You use language art, and you use the design of agreements.
So Ukraine, to appease Putin, who I think is evil, they've already given up Crimea. It was annexed. So what? Now they have to give up the Donbas area.
Ukraine, because of our pushing the Ukraine into the war on two occasions,
we pushed them into it, or did Putin?
Well, let me tell you. Let me answer your question.
Yeah.
In 2019, France, Germany, and Russia all agreed to the Minsk Accords. That year, Zelensky ran for president. He was a comedian. He had no political experience. Why did he win? Because he ran on one issue, signing the Minsk Accords. As soon as he got in there, Victoria Nuland and the White House told him he couldn't do it. Then Putin sends 40,000 troops in. That's not enough to conquer the country. Clearly, he wanted us to come to the negotiation. He wanted somebody to come to the negotiating table. Zelensky came to the negotiating table, signed a new agreement that was the Minsk Accords 2 in 2022, and that would have allowed Donbas to stay, and Lugansk to remain as part of Ukraine. We said Putin signed it, Zelensky initialed it, and Putin, in good faith, began withdrawing troops from the Ukraine. What happened? We sent Boris Johnson over there to torpedo it, because we don't want peace we want the war with Russia.
Whatever. Why are you blaming?
You see, everything he's stating, these are not new information. We've read this. I brought videos like this back in like 2020 to the channel. Yeah, I think 2021. Pardon me if I missed the dates, but I brought it very early to the channel and we saw it.
I mean, America's role in this. And look, Putin to me is an evil, murdering dictator thug, and when he leaves this earth, nobody's going to miss him. Let's be honest. However, I think that Europe has a responsibility to protect their continent, and yet it always seems to fall on the United States. Joe Biden has committed all these billions of dollars that we can't afford, and he's not fighting the war to win the war. I don't believe in fighting wars half-assed. If you're going to fight a war, you go in, overwhelming force, you beat them, you get the hell out. That's it, and only if it's provoked. Putin did not need to invade in a sovereign country, in my view. Is Zelensky perfect? Nope. I don't think he is either. I agree with you on that part. But America's role, I think, should be dictated first by Europe, and they've got to defend their continent, and they haven't stepped up, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most of the European countries wanted the war either. It's clear what happened, which is that, from the beginning, we promised in 1992, the Russian leadership said, we will move, this was Gorbachev, said when the Soviet Union, he was getting ready to dismantle the Soviet Union, and he said, we're going to withdraw 400,000 troops from East Germany. And we're going to allow you to reunite Germany under NATO, which was a hostile army. That's a huge concession for them. The one commitment that we want, is what the Russians said, is that you will not move NATO to the east. James Baker, who was then Secretary of State under Bush, famously promised, we will not move NATO 1 inch to the east. Well, since then, we've moved it 1,000 miles in 14 countries. Now, when we started that plan in 1997, Bill Perry, who was the Secretary of Defense under Clinton, said to the Clinton administration, if you move NATO to the east, I'm resigning because you are forcing the Russians to come to war with us. George Kennan was the most important diplomat in American history, the architect of the containment policy during World War II, said the same thing. You do not need to make an enemy out of Russia. Russia should be treated the way we won the Cold War.
It gets complicated. Let me ask you a question. China's been showing nothing but hostility. COVID, intellectual property theft, unfair trade practices. They've been confronting our Navy ships in international waterways. They've been confronting our fighter jets in international airways. They had the spy drone fly all around the country, and no, Joe didn't shoot it down. They threatened to shoot hypersonic missiles at the U.S. They're threatening to take out Taiwan and take over Taiwan. They call it reunification. If you're president, would you come to the defense of Taiwan, our ally?
Well, no presidential candidate with any prudence would answer that question. Our policy towards Taiwan is strategic ambiguity, and that makes a lot of sense. You don't want to project your enemy what you're going to do in a certain case, or embolden your friends to go to war thinking that you're going to support them. So that's been our policy, and it's a sensible policy.
That has partly affected Ukraine as well.
So that's been our policy, and it's a sensible policy.
Do you see China as our top geopolitical foe? They're also trying to undermine the U.S. dollar.
Yes.
You do.
Yeah, and that's why that's another reason why the war in Ukraine is insane, because we have pushed China into the
Donald Trump said he could resolve the issue. Do you think you can create a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia?
I think we have to. There's no choice. Russia's not going to lose this war. Russia can't afford this. Would be like us losing a war to Mexico. They are not going to lose the war. Go look at what Russia did in Stalingrad in order to preserve its territorial integrity. Russia's been invaded 3 times through the Ukraine. Russia's been invaded 3 times through the Ukraine. The last time, Hitler killed 1 out of every 7 Russians. They're 400 miles from Moscow. We already have Aegis missile systems within 12 minutes of Moscow. We wouldn't tolerate that if the Russians did it in 1962 when they put them in Cuba. My uncle was going to invade if they.
I want to talk a little bit about your background growing up. Your uncle as.
You see, RFK sounds more like a Republican. Sometimes I don't like. He sounds more like Vivek and Trump, and DeSantis doesn't even sound like this. It's more like Vivek and Trump. And his points he's stating, they are points that people should have looked into.
As president, what happened to him, what happened to your dad, he was the attorney general, and what you think about how those things happen. More with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Hannity continues. Please stay.
Yeah, that was a very good video. And what I like RFK is he's going to state what he thinks the truth is, regardless of what anybody's going to, try to take. He's going to state what he thinks the truth is. And I think that's why he's accepted both in the Republican side. I think he's accepted more in the Republican side than even on the Democrat side, because he sounds like a conservative sometimes. But yeah, those are points that are readily available on the internet for anybody to go look up. If you think anything he said is a lie, you can go check on the internet. Those things that we checked them out in like early, like 2021 and 2022. I brought those videos, got a lot of criticism for them. I had to take some down because people didn't want me to say certain things, so I took some of those videos down. But I still have some on the channel. In case you want to go learn, you can go Google it yourself, check the Minsk II agreements. What did Russia really want? What is the interest? Because that's how you understand how to make the best negotiations. Like, what is the interest of this person? And what do they want out of this? Why did they start in the first place? When you ask yourself questions like that, you can come up with good resolution. At the end of the day, it's going to be a dialogue. It has to be a dialogue. It has to be peace. How far can you go? What is a win for anybody? Losing more lives, is that really a win? Those are the questions we need to ask. This is the end of this video. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.